Holy fucking shit. You ever have those moments where you feel like you're the last sane person on planet Earth? Where, like, everyone seems to not have your opinion and you can't believe it? Like, how is it possible? Like, you assume I'm human, everyone else is human, so we've got some connectivity between us. There's some like-mindedness. We've all been through some similar experiences. We're all people. But then you have something that you feel so differently from so many people that it trips a wire in your head and you can't figure it out. Like you're freaking out. I like to think that's probably something that Kanye West experiences all the time. This is a dude who has become this strange pop culture icon / pariah. And it's very clear to me that Kanye West has a difficult time communicating with people. He is, he's an artist in a very true and pure sense, in a way sort of like Hideaki Anno is for anime, where he's a guy who has very complicated emotions and feelings, and he doesn't know how to express them very well in a way that other people can appreciate, so he puts it into his music. And I love that about him. I love that Kanye West is clearly not sane, or at least not able to talk like other people talk. And he's embraced that, and he seems to recognize that. He seems to understand that about himself. But holy fuck. The Life of Pablo is the worst fucking album I've ever listened to. And I'm going to get into why. And the reason I brought up all that stuff at the beginning is that I felt that Kanye West was able to communicate that once upon a time on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. On that album, he created a sort of beautiful, poetic album about feeling like an outsider and feeling like a bad guy in the society that he was a part of, but also embracing it and being proud of himself because he loved his life, in a way sort of similar to what Kendrick Lamar has been doing on his last two albums, where, Kendrick Lamar much more self-awarely and much more cleverly in his lyrics has described himself as this big hypocrite, as this person who recognizes all the things that he's doing wrong in his life and yet is able to still love himself and come to the conclusion that he appreciates who he is. But Kanye West is like that blown way out of proportion, where because he's so famous, because he's such an iconic figure in our society, that it's on this grand stage where, give me a second, I gotta put my thoughts together. Holy shit, because all this is hitting me at once. This isn't where I intended this to go, but I'm going deep. I'm going into the depths of hell right here. Kanye West clearly understands that he's the bad guy on some level, but loves himself so much and is living such a larger-than-life lifestyle and is so criticized by so many people that it's broken him. He's transformed into this monster. Yes, I'm a monster, as he says in the song Monster on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And on that album, I felt he conveyed those emotions perfectly. And as someone with some level, obviously nowhere near the Kanye West level of fame, that really resonated with me. And you might be thinking, like, you're only known by like 100,000 people tops, who the fuck are you? But here's the thing, Kanye West can walk outside his house and people recognize him, and I can't do that. But I don't go outside. I sit on my computer, and when I'm on my computer in my social circles and in the places I visit, people know who I am. And I've been through these experiences of having people demonize me for strange reasons, or having people love me for strange reasons, being overpraised and criticized for strange reasons. And I could very much relate to those feelings that Kanye is trying to describe, of trying to reconcile the ways that you feel bad about yourself and how you fit into society, and then the ways that you don't care, the criticism that you take and think that's true of me, and then the ones that you can't take and you think that's not true of me. It's all this maelstrom of ways that people feel about you. And I felt that way before. And it took me a while to get into My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I didn't like it that much at first. I first, gave it a listen because I go on the 4chan music board, and they always had it in their top albums lists, and I wanted to check it out. And I didn't really appreciate it until a night when I got really wasted, and my girlfriend at the time, she was wasted, and she had gotten disconnected from Skype while she was puking everywhere, and it was just like a shitty night. I think it might have actually been New Year's Eve, and it was just a weird, shitty night, and I was drunk and wasted, and I felt terrible about the world, and I listened to that album, and it resonated with me perfectly. I was like, oh my god, I get it. I get this. It's a song about drunken downward spiral. It's about losing yourself and just becoming this monster and embracing all of these different emotions as they're swirling around inside of you, and it captures it so perfectly with its extremely maximal, intense production and sound. All these big, grand emotions. Every emotion is huge. It's all blown out of proportion. You listen to All of the Lights, and that chord progression, it's epic. It's huge. Fucking, who is it? Rihanna singing on it? All of the lights, all of the lights. All of the lights, all of them, cop lights, strobe lights, street lights, spotlights, all of the lights shining on you. You are in the center of the whole world. It's enormous. There's a hugeness to it. Power, when he's singing about how no one man should have all this power, sampling King Crimson with these huge sounds. And then every song has this amazing beat change moment where things suddenly get even more emotional, where it's like big and grand, and then it takes a turn into this downward spiral. In Power, it's, when he gets to the do you have the power to let power go part, and then it just spirals down into this chaotic, insane musical style, and Kanye's never been an amazing rapper. I think his early stuff was, like, his actual raps were better in his early music, and I still think his production was great. I can't get into his early albums as much because they're less thematically cohesive. They're more just a bunch of songs about something, which I guess some people would disagree with. They do have a sort of a theme to them, but, like, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy hit me, in the feels, and it's one of my favorite albums, and it's one I listen to a lot. And I felt that it always had something to say, even when Kanye himself was being sort of weak. Like, on the song Monster, his rap is terrible. Like, his verse, have you ever had sex with a pharaoh, put the pussy in a sarcophagus? What the fuck are you talking about? Nicki Minaj blows that fucking song open amazingly. One of the best fucking rap verses of the last 10 years, if I had to say so. But, yeah, it's an awesome song regardless. It's got such a cool beat. It's got such a cool atmosphere. Opens with those demonic sounding, I shoot the lights out. And you're just like, oh my god, this is terrifying. And then Rick Ross with this deep, boomy voice just for the intro. And it was a great use of a small feature, because you're thinking, why have Rick Ross on there if he's only going to say 4 lines? But it's because his voice is so deep and guttural that it enters the song in this, like, deep, dark, yes, I'm a Mossanoka blood sucker, and you're like, oh, this feels grimy, right before 3 people with comparatively not so deep-voiced and dangerous-sounding vocals. I don't know how much Kanye West intended that exact effect, but it works very well. And it's a great album. There's spots on it that are so weird and esoteric that it's like you can't believe they're there. Like at the end of Blame Game, when there's like 3 minutes of this like comedy sketch of this guy having sex with this girl, being like, oh man, your pussy game is amazing. Where did you learn that? Yeezy taught me. It just goes on forever. And it's like annoying, but at the same time, amazing. You listen to a song like Runaway, where it's this, oh my god, Runaway is 9 minutes long. It has a super long, chilling intro before it kicks into this beat. It's a somber, sad song. Let's have a toast for the douchebags. Let's have a toast for the assholes. And if you've never heard this song while drunk and emotional, it's like, it is unbelievable how much you'll connect with this song if you listen to it in the state of mind for this song. And then the end of it is like a 5-minute vocoder solo. Insane. But in this context, it works because the album is so good around it. So my incentive to make this video is that the needle drop, aka Anthony Fantano, the internet's busiest music nerd, I was really expecting him to rip on the life of Pablo. But he didn't really. He put up a video. It was only up for like 4 minutes because I guess there was some kind of glitch in it and he took it down to re-edit it. So if the re-edited version comes out and nothing I'm about to say about it is true, then whatever. But I managed to see it in that tiny window that it was up, and he wasn't that harsh on the album. He gave it a strong 5 to a light 6, talked about its advantages and disadvantages or whatever, but he never really liked My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and I feel like because he never appreciated really what Kanye did on that album, he was like somehow able to appreciate this one more, even though this one is so markedly worse in every element. And the few moments on this one that shine, that are kind of good, are infinitely better on that album. This album, The Life of Pablo, I refuse to believe that this is anything more than very hastily put together, very shoddily made, very just unfinished. It feels like he made it in a week. And I know something about that. As someone who does produce my own music that is almost always very slapdash, the music I make is like, I get inspired for a day, and then I fucking crank out a bunch of songs that are just me yelling into a microphone and making weird noises, and then I put it out on the internet. I know something about slapdash production. That's what I see here. I see songs that don't have any layers, don't have any impact, don't have the time taken to make them sound cohesive. But the problem is that unlike my music, which is all meant to be very intense and in the moment, where it's just loud noises and crazy shit, Kanye's trying to make like real songs, like layered and, you know, complex instrumentals. He's trying to make songs that would sound good coming out of your speakers, but they don't because he hasn't taken the time to actually make them sound good coming out of your speakers. They sound like demos or first ideas, like drafts of songs that are supposed to be finished later, and it sounds like fucking shit. It's the worst fucking album I've ever heard. I'm gonna go through track by track now. Okay. Got this little booklet here. Patreon sent it to me in a care package. It's nice. I like pens. They sent me pens. They sent me a notebook. I like notebooks. They should have sent me my fucking tax forms so I could file my taxes. But, you know, whatever. Thanks, Patreon, for the, I can't read this with the sunglasses on. Oh, God, now it's very bright in here. I have a very bright light shining on me. I have all of the lights, all of the lights. All right. First track, Ultralight Beam. By far the best song on this album. This is the only one that sounds fully produced. All of the sounds are great. They're very deep. Even though this is a song that's very minimal, there's only so many sounds and it's very sparse. Every sound feels full and complex. Like, you know, you might hear one bass hit, but you can tell it's a multi-layered sound that has like maybe 3 different types of sound that are all coalescing well, the kind of stuff that people who make real music do and know how to do, and I know Kanye knows how to do because he's done it a million times before and he's done it well. It's got, you know, great features on it. Chance the Rapper kills it in his verse, as he always does. Chance the Rapper's pretty, well, I won't say always, but he's usually on point. He's a great rapper, one of my favorites. He delivers a good verse. Kanye actually sings with no auto-tune and no annoying vocoder. I know some people aren't bothered by that shit. Some people like 808s and Heartbreak, but I can't fucking take that shit, alright? When you start just meandering over a fucking beat with your bullshit vocoder, you know, I'm not saying vocoders can't be used as good instruments. They can, but Kanye don't do that. So in this fucking song, he sings straight, actually just completely clean, and it actually sounds pretty okay. The backing vocals are great, Chance is great, and the instrumental, while very sparse, and I would have liked this song to be shorter. It's 5 minutes long, and it doesn't change much over the course of its run, which bothers me personally, but if this song was part of a great album, I would love it. This song sounds like a good song on a good album, but it's on a shitty album, so it's just like a song I'll never go back to. And it's the best song on the album, in case anyone was wondering why I was giving it, like, strange amount of praise. So, Father Stretch My Hands Part 1. There's 2 parts of Father Stretch My Hands. Both of them are just a total mishmash. It's just random segments of songs with no connectivity. There are moments in Father Stretch My Hands, both Part 1 and 2, that are really solid. And I love Kanye West has a habit of finding these great little moments that really strike a chord with me. Like on the end of Father Stretch My Hands Part 2, there's like a woman singing just like one repetitive verse, but the way it's mixed and the way it sounds is really pretty. I would love that sample to be on the end of a great song, but instead there's like 2 or 3 moments where there's these really crisp, great samples that don't connect to anything. It'll be like shitty generic beat, then great sample loop, and then nothing. And it's like, where is the song coming from? Where is it going? If you listen to something like, again, Power from My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, you get moments like the very end of the track with just the oh at the very end. It's like this cool multi-layered sound that sounds really good, and it's at the end. It's a great payoff to a great song. Or the first track, Dark Fantasy, when they start singing at the end of the song. I'm trying to remember the line. The chorus that sings at the end. Anyone who knows this album will know what I'm talking about. But there's these repetitive verses at the end that fit really well over the music, and it sounds really good. And look, Kanye's always been someone who I think cuts corners. I think he's a guy who rushes his stuff to completion. There's a bunch of moments, even in My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, where you can hear that they didn't do 2 takes on the music. For instance, in So Appalled, when there's the part where the guy's like, "This shit is fucking ridiculous," and then it cuts, like you hear the sound cut out after he says fucking ridiculous, like there was an error right after that, or it didn't sound right flowing into the song. So the line just suddenly cuts, and it's like they didn't do another take to get it right. They just cut it out, the part that sounded wrong, and as a result, you hear it end too abruptly, and it sounds weird. This is something that you might not understand if you haven't like edited sound before, but it's very jarring, and it's something I would notice. But it doesn't bother me enough to ruin the song. And like with Yeezus, that album supposedly, which I was not a fan of Yeezus, but I at least appreciate that it was going for a specific sound, and that it was like the songs were actual songs with like verse, chorus, verse. I loved Black Skinhead off of that album. But like on Yeezus, Yeezy supposedly like removed a bunch of parts from each song. Like he stripped them down and made them more minimal at like the last minute. He like radically changed the album. So with this album, that had to have happened. It had to have been that some of these songs weren't finished and he put them on anyway. Some of them he took parts out, put stuff in, just completely radically changed it at the last minute into something that doesn't work. So with Father Stretch My Hands, once again, I honestly wish that Kanye would release the stems of these songs and let people just make better songs out of them. Because there's moments in here that are golden, that could be made into great songs, that are instead attached to nonsense. Alright, this is where it gets fucking shit. Famous. The song is fucking terrible. And it's terrible because there is no bass in this song. It's a song that sounds like it's meant to be this banger, and fucking Fantano was calling this song a banger, as well as a couple others. And like, there's no like, this whole album has no sub bass. There's no deep rattling noises. And so you get these sounds on top that sound great. Like, he's great at finding these like high-pitched, multi-layered noises that sound really cool, but they only sound cool when you have something deep underlaying it, and there's just none of that here. It just sounds... like, maybe that wouldn't even bother me if this was, like, clipping, where it's all high-end and there's no real low-end, but it's not like that. Like there's a beat, and it has a bass kick in it, but the bass kick is so light and so soft that it doesn't sound like anything. It really reminds me of the 700 Phil mixtape by Rat King, where it's just really unsatisfying bass sounds, and it was really annoying and fucking shitty. And this is a persistent problem across all of the life of Pablo. No deep bass, and everything sounds flat and weird. It sounds like he just threw together some really basic beats and then did nothing to them, nothing to make them sound studio quality or anything like that. Feedback. Garbage. There's this annoying sound in the background. I can tell what this was going for. This was trying to be like an experimental sounding song where there's these like weird sort of distorted noises, but I can also tell that Kanye took a song sample, put it into whatever program he used, and then he added a filter to it and then didn't touch it, you know? I know that because this is stuff I do when I make my slapdash music. I'll throw a song into a fucking thing. I'll put a reverb on it, and then whatever, it sounds fine, and just make something weird. But again, even with my music, and yes, I am indeed suggesting that my music is better than this album because I believe that. As shitty as my music is, it's better than the life of Pablo. But I'll throw something in there, but, like, my music's supposed to sound intense and, like, have this gravity to it and this, like, visceral, in-the-moment feeling, and Kanye's doesn't feel like that. Like, I don't know if it's that because he's actually a good producer, that he is trying to make, like, he can't make things sound shitty enough to be intense. Like, with Yeezus, a lot of people accuse him of copying good old, I don't have Death Grips up here. Death Grips down there. Copying Death Grips and trying to sound intense, but, Death Grips, they take stuff where they'll, like, film their everyday lives and then take samples from camera footage and fucking make a song out of it, but they clearly know how to make intense sound good, and Kanye does not seem to know how. He mixes the beats louder than the chaotic elements, and the song just sounds like watered down shit. It just sounds like a pop song with a weird, annoying sound in the background instead of an abrasive, intense song. Lowlights. This was the moment, both times that I listened to this album, that I had to start skipping the ends of songs, because Lowlights is just annoying. It's just like a female singer, I don't know who it is, but she's just like doing, I guess, spoken word over like a nothing beat, and it's really annoying. It's only like 2 minutes long, still annoying enough that I couldn't listen to the whole thing. Highlights. Same deal as I said about other songs. This one had a really generic trap beat that didn't go anywhere. No bass, just perfectly generic beat. Kanye, I come to you for production. You don't have lyrics. Your personality is that you're annoying. Why would you skimp on the one thing you can do right, which is make good beats, and there's no fucking good beats on this fucking album? So then Freestyle 4, this is where I really got pissed off, because the first half of the song actually sounded like something I would do, but good, or as good at least, and like it's just like this weird, creepy, minimal beat, Kanye like yelling over it in this like really loud, distorted sounding voices, he's like, what have we put right now? And it's like, it sounds cool, and then a beat kicks in, and it's the most generic, flaccid, nothing beat, no bass, just like it's just bullshit. It's nothing. And all you'd have to do to make this song good for me, personally, is just turn the gain all the way up. Just take that beat, just the beat, turn the gain all the way up, because then it would be intense. And like, the song is clearly going for a creepy, intense, intrusive feel. It's only like 1.5 minutes long, which is, again, this song really reminds me of something I would make, but without the intensity, where it just feels watered down. The beat kicks in, and then the song totally loses its insanity. Like, it feels insane, and then the beat kicks in, and it sounds generic. It's fucking weak. It's a piece of shit. I love Kanye. Go fuck yourself, dude. Like, this song is just Kanye, he's doing this cute little meta thing where he's like, oh, they like the old Kanye, don't like the new Kanye, and it's like just vocals, there's no music backing it, and like, this would be fine on a great album, which obviously Kanye thinks this is. He got mad at, oh my god, I'm more mad than Kanye is. Pitchfork gave this album a 9 out of 10, and best new music. Look, I hate Pitchfork. I don't agree with any of their opinions. They gave fucking the year before's Clipping album like a 5.5. It was one of the best fucking albums of the year. They dug into Daveed Diggs, who is a fucking great MC. I know his vocals are a little monotonous, but like, they really dug into him for being like, oh no, he's like a shit MC. And then they're giving Kanye a 9 for fucking whining into a vocoder for an hour and not doing shit, like, vocally at all. I can't even believe that shit. And then Kanye responded, oh, it should have been a 30 out of 10. Fuck off, Kanye. If this was on a great album, I wouldn't mind, but it's not. So it feels like he's fucking slapping his dick against my fucking face with this I Love Kanye song. Waves. Waves is almost a great song, except again, there's no sub bass. And this song in particular just feels like that's all that's missing. Like the vocals on it are really good. There's pretty solid like high sounds in it, but there's no bass. There's just none. And I was really confused when Fantano called this a banger, and I was like, "Where's the bang? You can't be a banger with no bang. It's so close. Like Waves is like one or two audio tracks away from being a good song, but instead, again, it just sounds like generic and flaccid and boring." FML. Another one Fantano liked that I don't understand at all. The first part of this is totally boring. The first 40 seconds suck. Then the beat kicks in, and it's actually the best sounding beat on the album. It actually sounds okay. There's actually some bass to it. It actually is a pretty okay beat. Kanye starts rapping for real for the first fucking time on the whole album. He's actually rapping. And then it just gets weird at the end, and not in a good way. There's like these really obnoxious robot voices in there and stuff, and this was the moment when I first listened to this album, I legitimately had to go get an Advil. I had such a headache from the robot voices at the end of the song that I had to take headache medication to finish this album. It was just painful, physically and mentally. Sorry for the jump cut there. I reset the clip just to be on the safe side. Alright, after FML, Real Friends. Real Friends is the only song on here that actually felt like a real song. It felt like it would be like a single type song. It felt like a real radio song. Here's the thing though. Real Friends is not bad, but there's nothing remarkable about it. It is almost exactly the same sound as I've forgotten the name since saying it earlier. The song that I was just describing on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Blame Game. The way the beat sounds and the way Kanye's flow is almost the exact same as Blame Game, but has nothing of what made that song interesting. The samples of the pianos, the crazy weird segment at the end, the great chorus, let's play the blame game, I hate you. Great chorus, very memorable. Real Friends does not have that. It's really generic. It feels like if you took that song and brought none of the appeal of that song to it, you'd get this song. And this is again why I keep saying that when I watched Fantano's review, I really felt like if he had listened to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy more and like appreciated it, where I mean I can't speak for him. I don't know how much he did listen to it if he came back to it over the years, but like how could you listen to Real Friends and be like, oh, it's a pretty good song, like when it's exactly the same style of song he did in the past, but he did it far better back then, you know? Oh, Jesus. Wolves. Oh, my God. This song was fucking unbelievably bad. The vocoder parts at the beginning sound like complete shit. Then, when the beat kicks in, there's actually a part where the beat is desynchronized from the other noises. Like he put in two different clips over each other, and they didn't sync right, and it wasn't fixed. Or they were at different BPMs or something. It sounds abysmal. Kanye does a little bit of rapping. The beat is just like, it's a little weird, but it's just kind of whatever. And then Frank Ocean, who hasn't put out an album in years, and hasn't been a feature in years, people have been like looking forward to a new Frank Ocean track, and Frank Ocean's like the one guy in the like modern R&B scene who can really sing without needing any vocoders or fucking auto-tune or anything. And he's got like 6 lines, and he sounds like he was recorded on a laptop. Literally. I'm pretty sure he was recorded over Skype on a fucking laptop. So why bother? Just to say you had Frank Ocean. Oh, we got the only Frank Ocean song that come out in the last 2 years. Fuck off, Kanye. Silver Surfer Intermission is literally an annoying voicemail he got from Max B. Who cares? 30 Hours. This is where shit gets egregious. 30 Hours is like, it has an okay beat, and Kanye's actually rapping. And it starts off sounding like it might be a real song. It gets a little boring because the beat's very repetitive and it doesn't really go anywhere. And then it's like 2 minutes in, it's kind of okay. And then for some reason, there's an additional 3 minutes. The beat goes on, but Kanye just ad-libs for 3 minutes. And it's just him going, yeah, this is the bonus track. all my favorite albums got bonus tracks. It's not at the end of the album. There's, 3 songs left, but this is the bonus track. And then he just starts rambling. And at one point I noticed he said, just did Madison Square Garden. Now, for those who don't know, this album was released the day after Kanye did a big fashion show at Madison Square Garden. He was revealing his new fashion line, which is as lazy as this album from what little I've seen. It didn't seem like anything impressive to me. I'm not a high fashion guru or anything, but I do like nice looking clothes, and these weren't they. So it was just slapdash bullshit like everything else fucking Kanye is doing these days. But he did this fashion show where he played this album, he debuted it, apparently blasting loud. He just blasted as loud as it possibly could so people couldn't take audio of it, which means that everyone came out deaf afterwards. But he did this fashion show and clearly was so excited about it, because apparently he cried on stage and shit. So excited about it, came home, went into the studio, and recorded this 3-minute ad-lib on 30 days, which supposedly is why the album came out a day later than he said it would. He said the day after Madison Square Garden the album was coming out, and then it didn't come out for another 24 hours. So clearly pushed back the release so he could ad-lib 3 minutes of yeah, just in Madison Square Garden. This is the bonus track onto his fucking album. This album that will be immortalized forever. And he, it's like if I came back from a convention or something, and then at the very end or somewhere in the middle of my biggest video, I just came on screen and went, yeah, it was cool, man. Yeah, I had a good time. What a fun time. Didn't describe anything, didn't make it relevant or anything, just, he was emotional, his album was coming out tomorrow, he threw this in, and now it's gonna be there forever, tarnishing what was almost an okay song into this incredibly obnoxious 3 minutes of nothing. No More Parties in LA. This is one of the better songs on here. I think it's too long, it's 6 minutes long. It's got a Madlib beat. It's a very Madlib sounding beat. I've never been very into Madlib. I know he's very popular and a lot of people like him. But I think Madlib beats work best when they're 2 to 3 minutes long, which they usually are on most of his albums. And this one's 6 minutes, and it gets very old. And the first 3 minutes are Kendrick Lamar doing a verse. And Kendrick, of course, brings his A game because he's fucking Kendrick Lamar and he can actually rap really well, and he brings a pretty solid verse. I don't think his voice necessarily matched the beat very well, but he does his job well enough. And then Kanye comes in, and in between these, Kanye does a pretty okay verse on this, but it's too long. It's 3 minutes. Each of them has a 3-minute verse. Either one could have been an okay song by itself, but it's way too long as a 6-minute song. And then the fucking chorus is just Kanye going, no more parties in LA, please. No more parties in LA. No more parties in LA. Fucking boring. You could have taken out that chorus entirely. I think the only reason it's there is to make the point of the song or to say the title, but it's really obnoxious. And it would have shortened the song by maybe 40 seconds if you'd taken it out. It would have been slightly more tolerable. But goddamn, the song goes on for way too long. And Kendrick blows Yeezy out on his own album. At least with the first track with Ultralight Beam, Yeezy didn't even sing on it. It was just Chance. And it was he's not even trying to compete. But man, rapping after Kendrick is just, when you're not good like Yeezus. I keep calling him Yeezy, but it's just because Kanye is slipping my mind. Facts. It's a song about Kanye's beef with Nike. Where's my wine? Kanye's beefing with a shoe company on this song. I want you to see my face. Kanye's beefing with the shoe company. As a personal thing. He talks to Nike it's a person that he's got a problem with. It's incredible. And he keeps talking about how he's rich in this song, and he mentions that a few times on the album. I haven't even brought up his, like, incredibly groan-worthy lyrics. Everyone else's reviews will bring those up. Again, I don't really come to Kanye for his lyrics. I come to him more for the raw emotions. And when you don't have any emotions that are recognizable other than I wanted to put out an album and I recorded some bullshit, then the lyrics become a little bit more apparent. But man, some of the lyrics on here are amazing in how terrible they are. Like singing about having sex with a model with a bleached asshole. If he gets bleach on his shirt, he'll feel like an asshole. Just riveting. Actually, I don't know if that was Kanye or his guest feature on that song. Either way, just amazingly bad lyrics. This one, I don't remember which one it was that had these lines about, like, if Mary had been at a strip club, would she have had, I don't know, like, it was like this attempt to be deep that completely fell flat. I can't take the lyrics on these. But, you know, whatever. Ordinarily that wouldn't bother me until you make a song about your beef with Nike, and the whole song is about your beef with fucking Nike, and the beat is just whatever. It's, and it also sounds like a demo. Like, Kanye, his vocals are way higher in the mix than the music, so it clearly is not a finished song. It clearly hasn't been mixed. He said he was gonna fix it. I think that's the one he said he was gonna fix. There was one song he said he was gonna fix. I don't know what that fucking means. And then Fade, which sounds like, it sounds like the start of a good song. It's sort of like a weird dancey, like, electro song. It sounds like Kanye had an idea for a song, and then made, like, the basic part of a beat, and then rapped over it and released it. He didn't, like, turn it into a full song. Like, it's the kind of thing that's 3 minutes long, and it could have been, like, a fully fleshed out track that you might hear on the radio or something, but it's not. He just came up with the idea and recorded it and didn't do anything to it. Again, slapdash, bullshit, weak fucking garbage. I hated this album. The first time I listened to it, it legitimately gave me a headache. The second time, the reason that I'm doing this review is that I got drunk because I wanted to listen to this again. Because with my beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, the first time, like I said earlier, I appreciated it more when I was drunk. And I thought, you know, as much as I hated this album, it's possible that I underrated it. You know, I often listen to music pretty quiet, so I thought maybe it would be better if I played it really loud. Maybe I'll hear more in it or something. Maybe it'll be more appreciable. Fantano seemed to have, like, 4 songs that he thought were legitimately great. I don't think any of them are great. Ultralight Beams is a good song. I don't think any of them are great. And other than that song, none of them are even good. They're at best mediocre, and at worst, fucking abysmal. It's probably the worst album that I've ever subjected myself to twice. You know, my first listen, I thought this is easily one of the worst albums I've ever finished, but it's definitely the worst one I've ever listened to fucking twice. So, I felt the need to get my feelings out there because they weren't being represented by anyone else. Although my friend Skywatcher hated it as much as I did. Shout out to him. And my other friends thought it was fucking lame too. So, like, my friends thought it was lame, but nobody who made a video thought it was lame. So, I had to, you know, get it out there. Fuck you, Pitchfork. 9 out of 10. Fuck off. End of story.